Imagine being a top ghostwriter in your field, working with celebrities and major publishing houses, and then walking away from it all to strike out on your own. Holly Crawshaw did just that. Holly is a best-selling ghostwriter, writer, and editor. She's also the founder of thestoryspark.com. Since entering publishing in 2006, Holly has ghostwritten and edited over 1,000 titles and helped 30 plus LinkedIn clients skyrocket their engagement, attract and convert leads, and build meaningful industry authority. Some of her clients include the Bachelor finalist Madison Pruitt-Trout, Grammy award-winning artist Michelle Williams, former Good Morning America and The View co-host Paula Ferris, Fellowship Church pastors Ed and Lisa Young, and Paralympic gold medalist Scout Bassett. She's also written books for all of the major publishing houses, including HarperCollins, Penguin, Random House, Baker, and Hachette. Holly, it's great to have you on the call today.
Adam, I'm stoked to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's dive into it. We
Sure.
only have 10 minutes on these interviews, so we'll move very quickly.
Yep.
As a top ghostwriter in your field, how does the business work and what does the process look like?
So I get this question a lot, Adam, and here's what I can say. No two projects are the same. It's a very individualized and personalized process, but what I can describe is like a general process for you. So it generally starts off as booking a call through my LinkedIn, a 20-minute call. We sort of fill each other out, see if we're a good fit. And that's really important. Chemistry is super important in a ghostwriter client relationship because, I mean, these people are telling me like their deepest, darkest secrets, right? Their biggest fears, their failures, their successes, some pretty intimate, vulnerable stuff. So being able to open up to each other is really, really important. So you want to make sure there's a comfort level. So there's an initial call. I'll follow up with some materials. I'll do a proposal. They'll look that over. We'll set up another call. And it's at that point that we both really make a decision. And then from there, it's a series of interviews. Usually those happen weekly and turning over content every week. There's a review period, an editing period. But I think one question I get a lot in regard to the process is how do you write in someone else's voice? And so those interviews are key because those interviews are immediately turned into transcripts. And it's through those transcripts that I learn someone's voice, their cadence, their rhythm. And so those words, those exact words, whenever possible, make their way into the final product.
Love that. And in terms of the transcripts, what tool do you use to do that?
So I use Temi, TEMI.com. And here's why. It's super affordable and it's basically accurate, right? It's not 100% perfect, but it's a super quick turnaround. Like an hour conversation can be transcribed in under a minute. So it's very reliable.
Sold. I'm definitely sold on that. So as you dive into the business, what were the challenges that you faced at first and how did you overcome them?
So this is also a good question. And I didn't dive into business knowing that I was creating a business. I'm like an accidental business owner. I just had this group of clients and like this side hustle and this sort of freelancer mentality for so long until I really took the Story Spark seriously and really took what I was doing and sort of said, I need to create a business. I need processes. I need branding. I need to be serious about this. But I think so much of what held me back was fear. And in working with CEOs, founders, as you mentioned, Olympic athletes, right? We all, I feel like at some point in our careers, have this imposter syndrome. And you hear that term used a lot, and you hear it used a lot because we all experience it. I had been in the big publishing world for 7-8 years when I decided to sort of back away from that. And that's counterintuitive, right? Because as a ghostwriter, what you want to do is make it to big publishing. You want celebrity clients. You want those NDA clients. You want, those big publishing deals. But over time, it just sort of lost meaning and purpose for me. And I still do work in big publishing and still work with my agent and clients. But I scaled that way, way back because I wanted to sort of find my purpose again in my work. And so I had two fears. One, I didn't know what in the heck I was doing. I don't have a business degree. I have an English degree. I've always worked within the structure of an organization or within an agency. And so sort of staking out on my own, there was this fear of like, am I making the biggest mistake of my entire career? Have I reached this pinnacle and you really can't go any further or higher? Am I maxed out and maximized here? Or can I start my own thing and replace that income and find fulfillment and actually serve an audience who wouldn't have an opportunity to work with an experienced ghostwriter outside of the Story Spark? So I had fear, I had imposter syndrome. But as I started sharing on LinkedIn, this is the great thing about LinkedIn. And Adam, you and I were talking about this prior to recording, but you don't know what you do know. And so in mining my experience and sharing that over LinkedIn, I was kind of like, wait, I've actually done this for a lot of people and the outcome has been pretty good. And sharing social proof is not a natural thing for me. It can feel like very, look at me, pick me, I'm awesome. And I never want to come across that way. But in sharing social proof, it helped me realize like, okay, I have been writing for 17 years. I do know what I'm doing. And if I want to help more people, I sort of have to not only share how I've helped other people, but like acknowledge that to myself as well.
Well said. Yeah. And I completely agree with the social proof. As when I worked as a business consultant, we would often split test ideas using social proof, using logos, testimonials, all of that stuff. And it would often win in split tests. And it was a great way to grow businesses. But I also find that using social proof is also really helpful in helping you appreciate what you've done and what you've accomplished. And that's
like when you read my bio, I was like, that chick sounds like she knows what's up. Like she knows what she's doing. Right. But I'm like, no, you kind of want to like downplay some of what you've been able to achieve. But I mean, if I've been doing this 17 years and I can't fill out a bio, like I need to pack it in and go do something else. Right. But yeah, social proof is one of those things where you posture, like you just have to come from a posture of, I want to help more people. If I want to help more people, I have to talk about how I've already helped others.
And speaking of helping others, what activities have you done that led to those like incredibly high quality business relationships that you've had?
So this is something I hate doing. And it sounds so mean that I hate this, but I absolutely hate getting on phone calls. I'm awkward over the phone, like discovery call after discovery call after discovery call. And for those of you who don't know business jargon, because when I first entered this space, I had no idea what a discovery call was. It's basically a short call that you book with a potential client to see if they're a serious contender, if your service is right for them, if you can really help them, if they have money, if they really want to do that. It's how you sort of separate potential clients from tire kickers, right? So discovery calls were always something that I avoided. But once I opened up my Calendly and set aside time, I invest 4 hours a week in 20-minute discovery calls. And I try to bring my best game to those calls for a couple of reasons. One, if you start a project with someone without fully vetting what they want, what they need, what they expect, even if you put it in a contract, even if you've said it over email, even if you've, conversed over LinkedIn messaging, like there's some communication that has to happen live. I feel like even if it's just a phone call, there's something about that gives you a better perspective of your client, what they expect, what they want, what they need. And man, it just builds trust. And let me be clear, the reason talking on the phone is tough is because my day is, I was just telling you, Adam, my day is planned out minute to minute. And if I'm not writing and I'm not creating for my clients, then it feels like there's no money being made. There's no progress being made. I'm not checking any boxes. But what I've learned is that during these discovery calls, not only do I get a better understanding of who's right for me and who I'm right for, but I get a better understanding of what I enjoy doing, what I'm good at, what I need to create an offer around. It's extremely informative for creating offers, which is something that I didn't even know was a thing until the last couple of years of being in a business, creating specific offers and different levels of offers. So these phone calls have really been a gold mine for feedback, just for expectations and communication. And, I might, out of 20 discovery calls, I might, book 3 clients, but those are good clients. Those are long-term clients who I think I'll do more business with down the road than just a one-off project. So one thing I avoid like the plague is answering my phone. Like, listen, if my friends and family know, text Holly. Like, do not call that girl. She's not answering, especially if she doesn't expect it.
I totally get that. And so for you, discovery calls was something that you maybe you didn't find useful at first, but ultimately you realize that there's a lot of value because
Oh,
rather than
absolutely.
in the
I mean,
business,
you hear horror stories of people spending 90% of their workday in discovery calls with, as I said, tire kickers, which sounds negative. Truly, people just want to know, what do you do? What's the process? I know you have it written out and I know you've sent me all these documents, but like, can I get to know you? Are you a real person? Are you trustworthy? I've had so many people say on these calls, I'm terrified that you actually use AI, or I'm terrified that you might share this story or this idea. And it's those discovery calls that really are bridging the gap between I'm willing to give you my money and my time and my story, and I'm not. So these calls are necessary for most of my clients to sort of say, okay, I am willing, to book a longer call, to look over a contract, to start talking timeline and deadlines and stuff like that. So they're absolutely necessary.
all right. So I know we've got just about 2 more minutes to go. So I'll go through these.
Okay. I'm gonna talk fast.
What is one thing that most people think is useful, but they could skip entirely if they wanted to get into this business?
Okay, one thing that people think is useful, but they could, okay. Cold DMs, cold messaging. I would encourage creating it. And I know you can't get around that for some businesses, some products, some services. You can't really get around it. Here's what I would suggest. Create a series, a messaging series that helps you warm up the potential client, figure out if you can even help them, and figure out what it is that they need. So I would suggest a messaging series versus the, hey, I just started a coaching group and I would love for you to be a part. It's available now at a discount. Like, those cold messages, they're not worth your time or energy. And frankly, they damage your brand.
Absolutely. I don't know how many of those I've walked away from just in the past like 2 days.
Too many.
So we've actually covered quite a few questions already. I'm going to close with this last one that I think is incredibly helpful. What one thing would you recommend that someone do in the next 24 hours to help their business?
Start posting on LinkedIn consistently. If you don't know what to post, hire a coach. If you don't have time to post, hire a ghostwriter. Just get on LinkedIn. 99% of my leads come from LinkedIn. They're all inbound. I don't do any cold messaging. I might add a call to action once or twice a week. But LinkedIn, there's almost 1 billion users now. Only 1% are posting daily. That's a huge audience and a huge opportunity to create a personal brand or to draw attention to a brand that you represent, and to engage with an audience that is really here to learn and teach and buy.
Love that. All right. So for those of you listening, if you want to learn more about Holly, and you certainly should, I highly recommend you visit her website at thestoryspark.com. Once again, that's thestoryspark.com. And you can also reach her on LinkedIn. She's posting daily. Like she said, she's one of the 1%, and probably even higher up in my book. So you should definitely read her stuff. It's excellent. For more reviews like this, please do visit us at funnelcandy.com. Thank you very much, Holly, and we'll speak soon.
Bye, everybody.